at the Anthems chat, Wonderlight, fight me. I'm starting the record now. Everything you guys say will be on the recording. I am telling you now. I will tell you again. You guys are fucking ridiculous. I'm glad you're having a good time. That's what's important. And I am going to also not turn on my camera. You guys don't need to see my face. Share. Better text readability? That's what we got. Okay! Oh boy. Please enjoy this panel with microplastics. Page face reveal when. Join me in some of my, friend chats and you'll see my face there plenty, I'm sure. Okay, it is 7 p.m. We are at 120 people in the audience. Oh my god. And we are going to be starting. I've seen his face. It looks like a face. Thank you. Hey everybody, I'm Paige the Lecture King Shepard. That's what they called me back in college. And welcome to You Are Not a Museum Piece, putting yourself out there in the Alterhuman community. I am going to be reading from a script, so I will not be seeing the things you're saying in the panel chat, but Orion, my co-author for this panel, will. So heads up that I might not respond, but Orion might in chat. I'm a canine psychopomp Fulcantera who's part of a 5-person draconic system, and I've been in Alterhuman spaces for around a decade. You might know me from my shenanigans such as the Inky Paws fiction anthology zine I organize, my Shenanigans webcomic, as one of the co-owners of the Non-Human National Park Forum, or as that dude whose Tumblr icon looks like a fox, but it's not. It's a doll. It isn't a fox. It has never been a fox. This panel was co-written with my gorgeous and super smart boyfriend, Orion Scribner, who helped with the sections on doing shit safely.
Oh, that's
That's them. Don't you wait, it's not a fox me. It's never been a fox. A little preamble before we get started. This panel is going to involve a little cursing, because I'm the one running it. It's going to involve a little comedy, because I'm the one running it. And it's hopefully going to be a good time for everybody. This panel is also going to be recorded, so keep in mind during the course of the event. After I go through all the slides, there will be a fancy schmancy, Q&A, open discussion, for stories, advice, anything that people want clarification on and more. Sound like a game plan? Cool. With that said, let's get started. I love my community, but I feel invisible. Things always seem to be happening, but I have no idea where. I want to make cool shit too, but I don't know where to start. Just who the fuck is Paige, anyways? Does this sound like you? Are you an animal who feels lost and alone, stranded in the woods while all the other animals with their cool-ass sunglasses go frolicking in the sunlit meadows? Well, fear not, denizens! Here's your one-stop shop to rolling around in the mud of the Alterhuman community, because if you ain't cringe, then you ain't free, baby. Step 1. Stop worrying so much. I see all you animals and Alterhumans out there, sweating nervously with imposter syndrome looming over your heads, like a 5th grade teacher watching you do a standardized test that you absolutely did not study for. And I'm here to tell you, no one in this community knows what they're doing. We're all just a bunch of some guys flying by the seat of our pants. No gods, no kings, no gray muzzles. Anybody can do anything, and that anyone includes you too. Faking confidence is the first step to making confidence, and you can damn well apply it to this scenario too. Walk with enough swagger in your step and nobody's going to double guess you. Not that it matters, because even if they did second guess you, fuck them! You're a dragon! Or whatever you are. I know you're not all dragons. I know that yours truly makes this shit look easy as fuck. But trust me when I say that I actually do get how hard it can be to wrestle with your anxiety. But you can respect your fears without letting them control you. I mean, it's important to acknowledge that you're afraid, that you feel that way. It's important to look at the realistic parts of why you might be scared, but you have to realize that most of your fears are going to be totally exaggerated or unrealistic, and you need to be able to slam dunk them straight into the trash can. Remember, your worst case scenario that your brain is going to throw at you is not realistic. It's going to be so much worse than the things that will actually happen. When you tend to do things, the reactions are kind of middle of the pack. Don't bank on things going badly and then use that as a reason to bail on ever doing anything. More often than not, things will go your way more often than you think they will. And another thing about having confidence. Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't insult and belittle your capabilities. Don't imagine your problems into huge, unkillable monsters. These are pitfalls that I see people trip into constantly. And look, I do too. But you have to remember that you're awesome. You're actually so fucking cool. The only difference between you and that guy that you admire is like experience and maybe knowledge. You rock. You just need to start putting yourself out there. Like, everybody, I need you to internalize this. Write in chat and tell me that you're a fucking badass, or whatever appropriate alternative you want to use. Like, do it now. Tell me that you are cool. Say nice things about yourself. Do it. Fucking do it. Hell yeah, that's what I want to see. With your infinite and terrifying capabilities internalized, we move on to step 2, throwing down roots. Everybody needs a base of operations. Unless you plan on tumbleweeding your whole time, consider setting up a long-term place where you can shove all the shit you make that's important to you. This gives you a place to direct people to, and gives other people a rock-solid foundation where they always know to find you or link you. It's super easy to feel adrift in the community when most of what you say just vanishes to a 404 abyss. Or like you're constantly losing track of friends because social media platforms die, or get like CEOs that are intent on killing them, or just any other reason outside of your control. This is a way to avoid that. In combination with this, I usually suggest sticking to one recognizable handle, name, icon, symbol, what have you across platforms. It's not like 100% necessary, but it helps you from getting constantly, oh wait, you're that dragon? Oh wait, you're that dog? Oh wait, you're that fox? I do this myself with, like, my name, who is Paige, and my standard Dole icon that everybody knows, loves, and mistakes as a fox. But, like, don't imitate me in that last bit. Use an icon that people will know what it is. But anyway, in terms of setting up your home base, while you can trust, like, a single social media presence, you gotta ask yourself, is a corporation really gonna keep all your shit on there forever? The answer is no. I really strongly suggest building a personal website or using a website builder if you have to. In addition to having a bit of a social media presence. Diversify. Here are some options I'm going to recommend to y'all. 1. NeoCities, or any website that allows you to build your own website. But NeoCities gives you full control of what you're creating. Your boundaries are only limited by imagination and ability to code, and that last one can be fixed by tutorials online. This is the option I recommend most strongly, because you have the most control over it. You are not bound by the ever-changing whims of a shady business. Nobody can mass report you and get your site taken down. You're not fighting with algorithms. You don't have to worry about juggling, like, nasty interactions from trolls and assholes. It's just you, your site, and who you share it with. 2. Dreamwidth. Dreamwidth is based on LiveJournal's code, and it's, in my opinion, one of the best social media companies out there. It's open source, it's reliable, and it's not beholden to ads. It relies entirely on optional user-based subscription services to power it. It is perfect for long deal stuff. And it's based around posting your original content to your blog and commenting on other people's original contents on theirs. It doesn't have like a reblogging or retweeting feature, it's just that. But my favorite feature is that you can have filters set up on Dreamwidth to choose exactly who you want to show to look like what. It's the one I recommend most for hosting your content. You're not fighting with algorithms. You don't have to worry about being mass reported and shadow banned. It's just you, your blog, and whatever community you use. It's got a bit of a learning curve, and yeah, it's on the quieter side, but it's totally worth using. I can't recommend it enough. And this is also where the Fiction Kind Dreamwidth community is at, run by Goratrix, so check it out. 3. Discord. Like, we're on Discord. You know it, you love it. It's a classic for Alterhumans to create private servers on. But you can't have this be your only base of operations, because it is not stable enough to keep an open door for people to find you and what you're making. Please don't just have a Discord account and leave it at that. 4. Tumblr. An oldie, but a goodie. If we ignore the fact that Tumblr isn't that old, it may not be definable as exactly good. Still a bit of a flaming dumpster fire as it ever was, but currently it's a better and safer place to be than either Twitter or Facebook. X or Facebook, whatever. You can customize the appearance of your blog with HTML and CSS. You post original content. The blocking and filtering features are great. The tags are good for organization. Just don't talk to me about the search function. 5. Mastodon. It's probably the most misunderstood of any of the platforms here. So it's a microblogging software where users can create short posts, use hashtag, and boost other people's posts, and follow one another, even if those people are on completely different Mastodon servers. Every Mastodon server is its own independent kingdom with rules and rulers that aren't going to have power over other Mastodon servers. But these servers can still all connect with one another, like at their leadership's discretion, which results in a ton of niche, vibrant communities for you to pick and choose from. Forums. If you can find an Alterhuman forum that works for you, they can be super fun communities to settle down into. But, like Discords, I would recommend you treat these places as more to set up camp and say hi and be neighborly than like at your home base, because they're pretty outside of your control. But look, the point I'm trying to drive home here with this is that you need somewhere to call your own. While rolling around anonymously for years and years can be fun, it can be counterproductive if you want to start building long-term relationships and keeping track of the stuff you make or do. Step 3. Get involved! Don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't be afraid to be genuine with others. The mortifying ordeal of being known comes with the euphoric experience of others knowing you. The temptation to be a wallflower is the devil talking. Don't listen to it. A few years ago, I had some younger kin argue with me that people only interacted with me because I was popular, and no one interacted with them because they weren't. And I can't emphasize enough that this isn't true or how anything works. After they said that, I went and made an anonymous side blog under a kin type I'd never written about, and I still got plenty of interactions on my posts. It's not that I'm some magical, charismatic rogue going around platonically sweeping people off their feet. You don't have to be lucky or a certain kind of person in order to have people talk to you. The secret to getting to know people is to just put yourself out there. Anyone can do it, and I mean anyone. Don't be afraid to reach out and talk to others. Don't be afraid to share the things you make. Don't be afraid to comment on other people's stuff and posts. And don't be afraid to jump into collaborative projects that people are organizing or look into setting up your own. I promise you that people in this community would love to get to connect with you, to share stories, to hear y'all talk about yourselves more. Fuck, I'm one of them. Every single one of you has incredible insights into alterhumanity based on your own unique experiences. Every single one of you is an individual who's lived a whole life up until this point, maybe multiple lives, depending, with ups and downs and roundabouts that I could never imagine, but that were so pivotal they shaped you into who you are today. That's fucking amazing. You are amazing. The world is your oyster, and you are literally a 1 in a million pearl who could not be recreated if you tried. But guys, here's the thing. If you clam up and you hide on the sidelines, people will assume it's rude to reach out to you and that you prefer to be left alone. If you want them to think differently, you have to prove it. You have to get onto that metaphorical dance floor and show it. At minimum, you need to at least go up to the punch bowl and strike up some conversation. You might make a new best friend. You might learn something that changes your whole life. You might be inspired to start a project you would never have imagined otherwise, but you won't know until you try. And now I know a lot of y'all are probably being like, "Oh, wait, collaborative projects, where are those at? Eye emoji, eye emoji." And I will drop a few in this lecture to get you guys pointed in the right direction, don't worry. We have the Alterhuman Archive, collective of non-human and alterhuman-related information. It has over 1,000 pieces stored, and it's always accepting submissions at the email listed on the site's contact page. If you've made something, we want it. My sound is not supposed to be buzzy. Is it buzzy right now? Okay. Other people are saying no, so I'm assuming it's okay. There's another wiki, which is an older Otherkin wiki with a broad range of Otherkin topics. It's a little on the dusty side because of age, but it's still got a ton of information, and anybody can make an account to add to it. It's focused a lot more on Otherkin than on Alterhumans as a whole, though, and that's something to keep in mind. Inky Pause! While we're not accepting submissions right now, it's a fiction anthology zine for and by Alterhumans and non-humans, and we do accept submissions annually. Keep your eyes peeled. Submissions tend to open up towards the beginning of the year. Modern Draconity. This is a zine by non-humans and alterhumans about what it means to be draconic in the present day or even the future. And this zine, unlike Inky Pause, is accepting submissions right now up until the end of October. This zine is accepting both fiction and non-fiction alike. If you are someone who feels the word draconic fits you, consider submitting. This is open. There's Otherkin News. This Dreamwidth collects current events of interest for Therians, Otherkin, Fictionkin, and other Alterhumans. Anybody is welcome to submit a post about relevant news or something they've created. If you're running a survey, a convention, starting a forum, published a new essay, anything like that, you can post about it here and let everybody know. Otherkin Wiki. So, Otherkin Wiki is the new kid on the block of independent Otherkin wikis, and it describes itself as an encyclopedia on the culture, history, and experiences of Otherkin and related Alterhuman groups. They're casting their net wide in terms of Alterhuman phenomena they want to cover, but they are currently also changing leaderships as of 2 hours before this panel. But they do have a Discord that you can join. I don't know where the project is fully going at this point, but I'm still going to name drop it here because I think it's frankly a wonderful thing. And lastly, Radiant Obscurities. This is a project that accepts mostly writings, and it's all about Alterhumans with obscure, uncommon, or rare species identities and experiences talking about themselves. It gives a bit of a spotlight to those among us who may not be your standard wolf or dragon. No offense, wolves or dragons. I love you. And its submissions are always open. You can find a link to its submissions page on its website. And remember, if you have an idea for a project that you don't see here but that you wish were real, you can take steps to make it happen. Don't bite off more than you can chew, but don't be afraid to start thinking about it and planning out what that might look like. A collaborative project can be something as simple as you and your friends writing a goofy Alterhuman story together, or it can be something as complicated as a large-scale wiki. Don't let phrasings and examples I'm talking about here discourage you. The point of organizing or participating in something like this is to have fun. It's to spread out the workload so nobody feels overwhelmed or burnt out. Remember step 1 about having confidence? Do not feel too scared to jump in and try your hand at it. Yeah, there's a learning curve to getting a bunch of people working together on one thing, but just start small and hang out with your friends and do things until you're comfortable branching out further. And I'd be remiss in talking about getting involved in the community and leaving out one of its staples, howls, conventions, and other forms of meetups. For you folks who aren't familiar with the turn of phrase, a howl is a term for an in-person meetup. These meetups are also sometimes called roars, hisses, woofs, other noises that animals make, or they're just called gathers. Some places will have annual meetups independently set up or set up contingent on events like local fur meets or furry conventions. Other times the stars might align and people might work on setting off a one-off get-together. You can sometimes find these organized on forums and Discord, so keep your eyes peeled. Conventions, as I'm sure y'all are already aware, are large-scale online gatherings of Alterhumans, and they're a lot more free in terms of movement because they're digital. So no travel is necessary, and it might change the fact that they're mostly held on Discord, but for right now, Discord's the place to be. Here are the cons I can personally speak of knowing and being able to recommend. OtherCon. The most well-known Alterhuman convention, as I'm sure you already know, is the one we're at right now. It was the first Alterhuman convention. It happens the second week of August. If you're having a good time this year, come back again next. I hope to see you. Shining Hearth. Maybe unfamiliar to y'all, but it's another regular convention that happens the fourth weekend of March. It's for elves, fairies, and other similar folk to socialize and share magic. The Centaurus Festival is organized by yours truly, and it's held the first weekend of March. It's to celebrate mythical and folkloric identities, but don't let that put you off if you're not in that category. Any and all Alterhumans are welcome to join. There are a few other Alterhuman conventions out there, but they're either ones I don't know anything about, that I've never been to, or that I've had really bad experiences with because of questionable moderation practices, so I can't recommend them here. And the one thing I really want you guys to keep in mind here is that no meetups are better than bad meetups. Say it with me. If shit sucks, hit the bricks. If the vibes ain't there, make like a banana and split. The point is to have fun and meet new people, not to turn socialization into a chore. Step 4. Make shit. Talking with people is just the half of it. Now that you've seen all the cool stuff other people are making, it is your turn. In the Alterhuman communities, we make our own resources and share them amongst ourselves. This can be really fucking intimidating, because you feel like you've got a ton of shit you need to match up to. But guess what? You don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to be good. You're allowed to suck, because the first step to being good at something is sucking at something. And who knows, more than likely, you're probably being way harsher on yourselves than is fair. You guys are going to be tempted to be y'all's worst critics, but don't let yourselves be. Do not be mean to yourself, or I will come, and I will find you, and I will squish your face, and I'll tell you you're fucking cool. Also, I really need you guys to internalize this. Someone out there wants to see the things you make. Someone out there will be thrilled and will have their life improved by your creations and work. Even if what you yourself, even if you think you're making flaming garbage, someone out there will relate to you, or will see themselves in your work, or you'll be a pivotal moment in someone realizing something about themselves. Don't downplay yourself. Not only can it happen, but I promise that it probably will happen. Your work has so much more outreach than you ever might realize, and it touches so many more lives than you'd think. Leave tracks. Show that you were here. Share what you experience and how you feel and understand it. If not for your own future benefit, then for the benefit of those who come after and wonder if someone like you existed. This is so important. I really can't emphasize this enough. And I know you're looking at me like, okay, God, I get it, Paige, but I don't even know what to make. And okay, I got you. Just to get you started, here are some ideas for the types of things we make in our communities that you can make too. Personal essays, huge foundation communities. Art, manifest the unseen. Draw pictures of your kin type or your pals. Short stories, tabletop role-playing games, Twine games. Twine's a free software. You can make interactive stories and you don't know how to code. Surveys. My partners and I wrote an article on how to run a good survey, and we recommend you read it. Masks, jewelry, gear. This is great for self-expression, and depending on how fancy you get, it doesn't have a high cost barrier. The Ontopunk panel literally covered a bunch of this. Fake newspapers. Zines. You can make it yourself with friends or organize a community zine. Podcast. It can just be you and pals talking. Comics, musicals, plays, animations, which is just drawing to the second power. Composing musics. Starting a convention or setting up a howl, because 2 cakes are way more fun than 1. Do not let other cons' existence put you off. Fursuits or costumes. Recipes, which heads up the next panel is about. Videos. Start a band! That's like a classic thing! You could come up with more ideas than I've got here. The possibilities are literally endless. Seize the fucking day, my guys. Oh, and by the way, if you want to write a book, me and my partners did a lecture on that last OtherCon, and you should check it out on OtherCon's YouTube. And additionally, there's a list of writing prompts and writing challenges on my website that you can check out if you want to get started writing, but you just don't know where. You've done it. You're talking with people, you're making things, you've got your claws in the mud, and you're rolling around in it. Now you have to share those things you made, and you might be looking at me like, yeah, no shit, Paige, but plenty of people freeze up at this part. With the home base established, now you're free to shove everything you make to your heart's content there, and there is no one to tell you otherwise. Run around posting it on social media, gleefully shouting about it in your friend groups, and shamelessly strutting around like you're on top of the world. Because you made a thing! You deserve to be proud of yourself. Wear it like a badge of honor. Love yourself and love all the things you create. Taking pride in your work is so important, I can't emphasize it enough. Not only does it hype you up, but it hypes other people up about what you made, and it just turns into this, never-ending feedback loop of hype, and it's great. And now we get to our final optional 6th step. Profit! Ha! You thought that was the end of it? Psych! So, this is an optional step, because it's a pretty huge one. It can feel, weirdly selfish to ask to be paid for the things we create, and there's this idea that people should only ever make things for the sheer joy of making. And there's this expectation to make every act charity that contributes to the public good. And charity fucks, and it's really important to only make things that you're having fun with. But also you deserve to get paid for the cool shit you make. Fuck you, pay me is fine to say when you're creating completely original content. Yeah, do things because it's fun, you find it enjoyable, and give people free things when you can. But if you put your blood, sweat, and tears into something that you build entirely from the ground up yourself, then don't be afraid to ask people to pay you for it, or make it possible for them to tip you if they want. We've all got bills to pay, and you don't owe free labor. And if you're still waffling on the fence about it, look at it this way. Financially supporting our creators in our communities is a radical and liberating idea. It's putting our money where our mouth is. It's letting them create more cool-ass shit because we're giving them the money to pay their bills. If you're a creator like this, There's a few avenues you can go if you want to sell your work depending. Ko-fi lets you sell merch, bases, and commissions with ease. Patreon, the classic and for a monthly fee, you get stuff by me service. Itch.io, which is my favorite, I have to say. It's just such a wonderful niche indie site, and it takes very little in terms of cut. Gumroad. I don't have much personal experience with Gumroad, but I've seen a lot of folks use it with great success for zines, bases, and stories. Bandcamp, which I also don't have experience with, but I've heard it's the way to go for musicians and bands. Or just post an ad for whatever you're selling on whatever social media site you like. Accept payment through PayPal invoice. It does not have to be any more complicated than you make it, I promise. Though, heads up, people generally don't recommend Etsy because they take out so many fees that you don't profit, and they nerfed their search functionality. And people also don't really recommend Redbubble because it takes out a huge chunk of profit, and it kind of uses subpar material sometimes. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. So for all the stuff you're putting out there, you also gotta be aware that sometimes people are really not cool with Alterhumans existing publicly online. This is kind of a gray area between safety and, like, just shit you have to deal with as somebody interacting with the community publicly. It's been a problem since time immemorial. And if you've been around in the community for long enough, you've probably experienced this firsthand. But do not worry. While this sounds like something that's going to send your anxiety screeching back up into the atmosphere, it is actually super easy to handle, and I'm here to tell you how. All you gotta do is be smart about where you post things, use the block button liberally, and remind yourself that randos aren't owed your fucking time. In any case where you post to platforms and do keep getting, like, annoying trollish response, the solution's simple. Leave! This is part of why it's critical to have a home base and multiple other platforms that you're posting everything to, so that you're never anchored down to a single place in case things go sour. Safety is really important for having a good time in the communities, and here's my boyfriend Orion with some tips about that.
Hi, this is Orion, and I have a serious bit to say in the middle here about how to stay safe in our communities. When you're creating fantastic stuff for everyone to see, make sure that you know how much personal info you might be sharing and how much it could impact your privacy and safety. You can tailor your choices to suit your own needs and preferences. The risks that make sense for you may be different than those of others. Some people are more vulnerable because of being members of minority groups or working in sensitive careers. For other people, putting themselves out there more is what works best for them. Choices about privacy are not one size fits all, and they are not all or nothing. Ask yourself about the risk of each piece of info you share. Think of these as falling somewhere on a scale in terms of how much risk they involve for your privacy. At one end of the scale is info that's generally low risk and pretty safe to share, like the cool stuff you made in Step 4. You can talk about lots of your interests, about hobbies and media. Use a nickname and social media profiles that you only use in our Alterhuman communities, which is standard practice here. If you buy or sell stuff, protect your info the best by using a single-use or gift card. Use an email address that is not associated with a bank account or bills. On the middle of the scale is info that is medium risk. Share with caution. It's your choice about whether something makes it worthwhile to you to share it anyway. Some examples would be sharing what country, state or province, or time zone you live in. Maybe you want to be public about whether you're a member of a minority group, such as telling your sexual orientation, ethnic group, or disabilities, or maybe you'd prefer not to give random strangers an excuse to give you a hard time. There's some risk in sharing photos that you don't think could identify you or where you live, because some little detail you didn't notice might give that away anyway. At the other end of the scale is info that is high risk. It's not required or common to share this stuff in our communities. Some people would say, never share this info at all. It's your choice. And if you consider it, be aware it could make you a lot easier to dox, that is, for strangers to figure out where you live and make trouble for you in person. That means stuff like your full legal name, age or birth date, phone number, photos of you or photos of your home, school, workplace, or car. Accepting media interviews about being alterhuman is high risk because exploitative journalists can make it turn out badly for you and for our communities. There really are some things that you should never share online. You can guess that you should never share passwords, stuff that would only serve to get you hacked, or your home address. Don't share identifiable photos of your home, identifiable ones, of your home, school, workplace, or car license plates. Don't announce times and dates you'll be alone or away from home. And don't incriminate yourself. Year after year, there are always a lot of teens in the Alterhuman communities, and we want them to stay safe while they have fun and make friends. Minors need to be extra cautious about what they share. Online, that is to say. If you're under 18, never share your specific age or birth year, which would put a target on your back. Don't talk about where you go to school, where you or your parents work, or anything in your general location. For example, if you post an essay about how your next door park gives you kin feels, don't name the park or any identifying landmarks. Minors should never send sexually suggestive minors should never send sexually suggestive creations or nudes to anybody, because even if they and their partner are willing and are the same age, it's most likely illegal where they live for minors to do that. So never, don't do that, never. And don't post photos or videos of you, your home, street, or school. Don't give people the chance to guess where you live. Plus, the same stuff that would be high risk for adults would be high risk for minors too, or higher. Teens have to weigh all their privacy and safety risks as being inherently higher. That's my interlude about serious safety tips back to my boyfriend Paige, with some more safety tips about meeting in person, only he says it in a more comedic way.
Thanks, gorgeous. This is Paige again. Let's come back to talking about offline howls and gathers and hangouts, even though the last panel covered that. Look, I didn't know that this was going to be oddly relevant. To make your meetup low risk and as safe can be, meet somewhere super public like a cafe or mall food court where there's witnesses and you're not going to get dragged away under the cover of darkness dramatically or step into a fairy circle or something. Tell people you already trust where you're going and how long you're going to be, so if you do disappear, people will automatically know. Have multiple options for transportation in case you got a GTFO. Don't do anything that's going to impair your ability to think straight. No drugs, no sex, no rock and roll. And comparatively, if you're feeling a bit more bold, you could meet up somewhere like a public place that can offer more privacy, like a park or popular beach. And if you're thinking of meeting up with someone outside your house or school or workplace, please realize that doing so might reveal a little bit more information about you than you're comfortable with later on. Same with sharing contact info with whoever you're hanging out with. Like, it has its pros and cons. Please consider it thoroughly. The big things that would make a first-time meetup high risk is letting them drive you around in their vehicle, or by hanging out in a secluded area, or by getting totally wasted and crossfaded. Don't do it. It's a bad idea. If you're under 18, risks are quadruple for you. You have a target on your back because of your age for potential predators. If a minor takes these risks anyway, which I cannot responsibly recommend, please at least use all resources possible to make it otherwise as safe can be. For further reading on safety risks, download a free PDF ebook by the Dragonheart Collective, A Guide to Safety in Alterhuman Spaces, which goes a lot more into detail about red flags to watch out for in our communities in particular. Check your library for the book, The Smart Girl's Guide to Privacy, Practical Tips for Staying Safe Online by Violet Blue. The latter is written mainly for journalists, bloggers, and people who do online dating, but it goes into a lot of detail about how to recognize risks that most people don't even realize they're taking, and how to interact on the internet more safely to whatever degree you choose. And now it's time for the thanks and acknowledgement section, because I couldn't have done this alone! Like I mentioned at the beginning, my incredibly hot, handsome, and awesome boyfriend Orion Scribner wrote some parts of this presentation. Their site is at frameacloud.com, and you should check out their work. Some graphics from Mutant Standard Emoji by Zook which are available under a Creative Commons license at the site mutant.tech were used. And, of course, a classic PBS-style thank you to viewers like you. Thank you guys so much for checking out this panel, and I hope y'all will stick around for the discussion afterwards to cause a bit of havoc and ask some questions. I'm taking a sip now that the body of the panel is done from my cider. Give me just a moment. I already see panel questions lighting up. Alright, Q&A discussion time, and I already see we have Q's, which I will give A's to, for the record. For this Q&A, feel free to ask me any questions for things you want clarification on, or you're curious about me and Orion's perspective and stuff, or anything else. Feel free to, share advice about how to make things, and how to make money from them. Share your funny and cautionary tales about craft fails. Share your, questions and advice about staying safe. Talk about howls and other gatherings you've been to or helped organize. What worked, what didn't. How am I such a good motivational speaker? Thanks. It's the fact that I'm a dog, probably. Question. I want to write completely fictional write completely fiction kitsune stories, but I want to use Patreon. Should I be making occasional stories free so people get to know my writing? I would generally recommend building up a fan base first before you jump to Patreon. I mean, you don't have to, but I feel like the smart thing to do would be, to put your writing out there in snippets, so people get familiar with it and people get really hype about it. And then to be like, oh, and here's my Patreon if you want to see my in-depth stuff and my really cool stuff and my really radical stuff. That would be my personal recommendation. Also, it's going to be really good practice if you double the amount that you're functionally writing, which is kind of an unintended but glorious side effect. Let people fall in love with your writing. Yes, exactly. Let people fall in love with your writing. Q. What are some good resources for someone who can't write code to make a NeoCities website? That is a great question. I don't know off the top of my head. My spouse is bringing over my cat. I'm still in the panel. Are you trying to get her to meow in the microphone?
Yeah.
She's gonna end up barking. But yeah, I'm afraid I don't have any coding resources, but if anyone does, please drop them in the panel discussion. Because I wish I did. I'm going to be honest, I'm in my second bachelor's degree program right now. I have my first bachelor's, obviously, and it is coding, so I'm learning from teachers, but I know people who have learned from resources online. I want to do something with the safe for work part of my memories, more than just having them on AO3. Any advice? Make a website and put them there. Or make comics about them. Or make a zine about them. I mean, it's really kind of like, what do you find that's fun? What do you find that's appealing in that? Question for anyone, panelist or audience. I want to make my own website, but I'd like to have Tumblr-style tags to filter content. I have not been able to find any tutorials for this in NeoCities, preferred, or HTML. Anyone have a resource for this? Is it possible at all? I am once again turning to the audience to see if anyone has resources on this specific thing. Because I don't. I sort my thing under different web pages entirely. That's how I do organization. But I am absolutely sure that you could do a tag system. No, you need an API for website searching. That might not be possible on NeoCities then. That might be more of like a WordPress thing. How do you balance being more visible in the community while not attracting trolls? A close friend had a pretty traumatic experience with anti-kin on Tumblr circa 2012, and it left me rather skittish about making my stuff more visible. Any suggestions for overcoming that, balancing that, etc.? Orion, you got on that? Because you're a lot more visible technically than I am.
I am trying to catch up on the chat. Please repeat.
Oh, how do you balance being more visible in the community with not attracting trolls? Because you're the one who's been cited way more in academia than I have. I've only been cited maybe 5 or 6 times.
I think that's mostly just luck.
It's mostly just luck? Okay. In my experience, as someone who is also visible in the community, TM, a lot of it is about being picky about where you post things and blocking. You're never going to entirely insulate yourself from like radioactively bad opinions and people, right? That's just not possible. But I never post my shit to like Reddit. I stopped posting my shit to Twitter once it became really gladiatorial in its culture. Places where I know I'm more likely to have my stuff picked up and just shat on, I just don't bother with. And on Tumblr and similar places, I also just block anybody I see who's being an annoying shithead. Zero hesitation. I do not care. I will block someone if they're an asshole. And if that person continues to try to bother me or makes a post about me and is like, hey, look at this weird dog, I don't let it get to me. Which is an easy thing to say, but it involves kind of just separating yourself from your work a little bit, or being able to just step away. I'm not having other things to focus on outside of letting yourself circle the drain on one single thing really helps with that. Cause yeah, that's my opinion. I hope that's helped a little bit. Question. I have a bunch of ideas for animations and illustrations about my identity, but burnout after my art program bachelor's is kicking my butt. Reason why I'm doing a second bachelor. Hey, handshake! Any advice for burnout? Yeah, take time. Take time away from what you're burnt out on, which I know is the exact opposite of what you want to hear right now. But also it's really true. If you want to fall back in love with, art and animation, you have to go fall in love with some other things first and kind of give yourself a break. That's what I found, at least. Your mileage may vary, but when I was really burnt out on art and writing, I took like a 1.5 year break, which is a long time, honestly. And I just stepped back from it, and I was like, I need to go just, fuck around, do other things, and maybe I'll come back to this. Maybe I won't. I'll figure it out then. Basically, give yourself time, be nice to yourself, write all these ideas down for, potentially future use, but don't feel like you're checking your watch. There's a time limit for these things, because there isn't, Like, give yourself a break. You deserve it. Especially if you're working on a second fucking bachelor's. Can you tell your cat I say hi? Hey, Thomas! Tell Onion they say hi! They can't see my screen.
Button her up to the mic. Onion, say words of wisdom.
She did not have words of wisdom to say, I'm sorry.
Nope, she's oddly silent today, which is weird for a screamy animal.
Question. I'd love to do some essay writing on alterhumanity, especially around stuff like lucid dreaming and finding communities online, but I'm a bit burnt out from uni and doing activism IRL. Could you talk about what that was like for you when you were first starting out with creative stuff? God, yeah, I guess I did start creative stuff when I was in college, didn't I? Honestly, a lot of it was kind of juggling my free time with my college life and my work life, because I was also working. You kind of just have to be nice with yourself and let it come as it comes. Which, I like, you have to take your time. It's never, like, a fun answer to have to give, because it's so boring. It sounds like a cop-out. But also, it's just kind of what you gotta do. Go with the flow a bit. If you can find things that motivate you and kick your butt into high gear to do specific things, the more power to you. But that might make you burn out worse. So keep that in mind. Just kind of have fun with it. Do what you love and have fun with it, and you will kind of figure out from there. I'm really sorry, because there isn't a great one-size-fits-all suggestion or answer to this. And I know how frustrating it can be to want to do things, and to be unable to do them. Like, your brain just won't let you, or you're so tired, or you have no time. And you just really gotta be kind of gentle with yourself, and realize that's okay. I will figure it out. I will get it done. I will find those, 10 minutes, 15 minutes of my day, or maybe I won't, and things will come together eventually anyway. I have a question. What if you feel like people stop listening to you after a while? As in, you could be chatting with someone, and they can be hooked away from you, and you try to hook them back, but after a while, you give up. Sometimes you just don't win. Or sometimes the other person has ADHD. And that's okay, honestly. If you feel like people stop listening to you after a while, I don't know the context of this, in a conversation, you're allowed to kind of, like, step away from the conversation and go do something else if they're not listening. You are not obligated to give them your time if they stop listening to you. Which is maybe a harsh thing to say, but also if someone fucks off in the middle of a conversation, I mean, it's fine. You're allowed to fuck off in return. And also, like, we're all adults and or busy minors, I suppose, with our own lives, and sometimes that's just kind of what happens, where we get dragged away in the middle of, like, a text or call. But yeah, if people stop listening to you after a while, I think the wrong thing to do would be to blame yourself, right? I don't think that would be right. I don't think it's like, oh, there's something wrong with you and that's why people won't listen to you. I think it's more like, maybe people are busy in that scenario, or maybe you're not hanging out with the right people who want to hear the things that you're putting out there. But I don't think it's anything up with you. And I want you to internalize that it's nothing wrong with you. Because I worry that that question means you think that there's something wrong with you, and there isn't. Question: how would you recommend getting over the feeling that everyone else has already talked about the topics that you are interested in covering? There's so much content out there, and I always worry about getting repetitive. Fuck them! Who cares if they already talked about it? Maybe you could talk about it better. You will probably talk about it different. Like, I'm gonna pull up a last year other cons theme of fuck it, right, and soup, and I'm going to bring that back. It doesn't matter if someone's written about something before. You have your own unique spin to put on it. You're you, they're them. Like, okay, not like actually fuck them. Like, we don't want any ill will on them or whatever. But like, why should that stop you? People will still probably have a good time reading whatever you put out there. People will still probably enjoy it. You will enrich somebody's life. Maybe somebody who's never seen that other thing will see your thing. Like, you get? What would be a good way to start a Dreamwidth blog site thing? Go on Dreamwidth, make an account, make your first post an introduction about you, and if you can search up interests on Dreamwidth, if I remember correctly, and that will allow you to look up other otherkin, other alterhumans, other therians, other plurals, what have you.
Zira Shield asked if Dreamwidth allows tagging, sorting, and filtering. It does. It works a little bit differently than how it works on Tumblr, but you can create your own tags for your posts, and then you can use that to filter for other posts that you've made that use those same tags. There is a way that you can see recent posts that random people have made with certain keywords tagged to them, but that's very limited compared to how it works on Tumblr. Mostly you use tagging for filtering through your filtering and sorting your own posts, and it does have a very powerful way for being able to mass edit your tags in case you ever decide you want to change how they're organized later. You can it has an interface where you can just change all of them in one go.
Luth? Oh, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Asks, a couple people gave Safi some good resources and advice on VC already, but I thought I'd ask here too. What are some ways to make writing more accessible when one's body is disabled? We have chronic hand pain and can't type on a laptop for a long time. We can physically write or type on a phone for longer, but it still hurts. Speech to text just doesn't work great for our brain, unfortunately. We really want to write more for the community. So I have arthritis, fun fact of the day, and it's really, really painful to sit at a computer for a long period of time, or to type for really long periods of time sometime. Arthritis compression gloves are good for that, yes, thank you. So for chronic hand pain, my recommendations would generally be like accessibility stuff if they help you. Compression gloves, hot compress, ibuprofen if you're like determined to power through it. I know speech to text might not work great for your brain, but don't view it as like the end result type thing would be my general suggestion. I would actually really suggest it as like a starting off point where maybe you list off some ideas and then you bring it to the computer and go from there. Or alternatively, do you have to write? When my arthritis has been really, really bad and I cannot write, sometimes I will just record myself talking. Like not text to speech, like I will record myself talking. Me and Chimeras have posted our Notcast recordings over the years. It's only like 3 or 4 of us just talking about Alterhuman topics. And like there's nothing wrong if you can't write. I have my days and weeks and months where I can't write, and it's okay. Like, I wish I had better advice, but I only really have my advice for, like, my stuff with arthritis. If anybody else has stuff to throw out there, please do.
Yes, for example, even if you don't have the resources to see a doctor, see a physical therapist for help with chronic pain, you can find YouTube channels that are by actual physical therapists who show how to do the exercises at home. I recommend these guys. I'm pasting it in YouTube. I'm pasting it in the panel questions chat.
10 minutes left and we still have a ton of questions to get through, so I'm going to go on to the next question while Orion puts that in chat. I'm working on an Alterhuman-inspired audio drama you motivated me to finish. Hell yeah! But now I'm wondering how Alterhuman specifically to get with it, since I plan to reach a wider audience with the project. Do you all think Alterhuman-specific vocabulary would be a smart choice or not? Depends on how you do it, would be my general suggestion. If you explain it within the audio drama in a way that non-Alterhumans will entirely understand it, I think you'll be fine. Like, people aren't, dumb. People will pick it up. It's just like, if you drop it on them with no explanation and no build-up, that's when you're going to run into the problem. But I've seen people do this kind of thing successfully, and I really do think you could too. Question. If someone wants to grow their social media presence and gain more friends in the Otherkin community, how would you go about that? I'm active on Tumblr specifically, but I've only had 2 or 3 people interact with me, and even then, it's usually for reblogs. Almost all of my original posts have no notes. How do I gain visibility? How often are you responding to people's things and putting things not in the tags but in the comments? And how often are you sending asks? And how often are you DMing people? Those would be my 3 questions in reverse, like my Uno reverse cards. Because I've found in the past that taking the steps to interact with others first is generally the best way to get visibility and to make friends. Because otherwise they won't really know you exist. Just from, like, reblogs and maybe, like, seeing you in the tags. If that makes sense. Like, I love Tumblr, but its tagging system is kind of garbage. Yeah. Like, if you go out and talk to people, they'll talk to you back. Especially if you search for, like, people who are being like, I'm starting this Otherkin Discord server, and this Otherkin, IRC group, or etc. and so forth. That's the way to do it. That's what I've always found to be successful. Like, send asks, send DMs, comment on people's things. Don't put it in the tags. Reblog and comment on it. Ask them questions. Tell them you think it's cool. And start a conversation that way. That is 100% the best way to make friends. What are your tips for putting together a panel like this? Me and a friend are considering maybe doing a panel next OtherCon because we're really enjoying this year's. Pick a topic. Don't change it halfway through like I did. Originally, my panel was going to be on misanthropy. Pick a topic, outline it, flesh out the outline, like buff it out, have your little bullet points of single points, and start adding onto that, like, okay, what more do we want to see in each section? And then just stretch it out like taffy. It also helps if you have a group of people to bounce stuff off of, whether that's a co-panelist, a polycule, a group of friends. I used all 3. And just go for it, honestly. Straight up, just go for it. You won't know if you'll succeed till you try.
Right, and we have found it very useful to, when we're creating panels and making them look cool, you can collaborate with your friends live when you are writing the script or outline in Google Docs and also in Google Slides, which is what we used for the PowerPoint presentation, is actually Google Slides. So the collaboration features in that are really fun, and you can also chat over voice at the same time in Discord, and then that's a great system for being able to do group work together with your friends.
Question. How do you keep going? Coming from someone who has been writing for a while but never exactly made much of a lasting impact or ever had too much of a fan base enough to be remembered. It's demotivating and exhausting to keep sharing even though I love what I do. You don't need, like, I need to emphasize this. You don't have to make a visible, lasting impact or have a fan base to be a worthwhile addition to this community or to have what you create be worthwhile and amazing. I'm going to just start out with that. Like, what you do is fucking fantastic, even if not everyone is going to be citing it in academic papers. First off, internalize that. Second off, though, I do know what you mean when you say it's kind of demotivating when you put things out there and you don't get any responses. My general advice on how to keep going would be to remind yourself that you're doing this for fun. Make sure you're only doing it if you're having fun. And also to, like, start sharing it with friends and stuff to get that validation and that motivation and that hype. Like, you don't have to have a fan base for your work to be amazing. Your work is automatically amazing because you're the one who made it. But sharing it with friends can be, I've found, like, the cornerstone of giving me the motivation to write more and the inspiration to write more. Also, oh no, my Discord just crashed on my other computer. Ruh-roh. At least it's okay on the main one. You guys can still hear me. I'm gonna pull up panel questions on my phone in the last 5 minutes, I guess. Our power just flickered. Heck. Oh wait, no, it came back. Okay. Not a question. How do you stop and deal with the I can write that better now urge? You don't. I find myself often rewriting things that I've already written over and over because I know that I've improved since, to the point of having trouble writing new essays or fiction. Don't reread your stuff to rewrite it until you've given yourself like a minimum of 6 months time. That's what I do sometimes. Or alternatively, just spin off into the next project as quick as you can. But I'm also working with ADHD, for the record. So that's going to really affect how I feel about that. Also, it is okay if you focus on just rewriting one thing till you're happy with it. Orion does that a lot. Panel recorded. Yes. Is there a link to all the information in this panel? Yes. Look at the thread in panel chats. Okay. Did I get through all the questions? How would one get help with the panel when no one has Alterhuman friends outside of one's own brain? Any Alterhuman group can be turned into friends. That's the secret. You can just, like, post in other connect, like Dragons did this. The Dragonheart Collective did this with, their panel. Like, you can post in Discords and be like, this is what I'm writing on. Give me your opinions. Give me your feedback. Tell me what you think. Assigned friend at Discord. Also, you should be able to honestly ask your friends for feedback, too. Your non-Alterhuman friends. If your pals are your pals, like, some of them should be willing to help you. That's what pals do. You might have to explain a bit to them, but, like, they can probably pick it up quick enough, right? But yeah, don't be afraid to just reach out to Alterhuman groups you're in, which, yeah, even if they're not friend groups, they're still Alterhuman groups, and you can still be like, give us your opinions! Okay, we have 3 minutes. Does anyone have any last 3-minute words to say? Does anyone have any last 3 minutes words to type? Drink some water now. I'm gonna drink cider because I'm a rebel. Who knew all you had to do to make friends was to kidnap people, bite them, and have them proofread your awful writing? That's what I did with Orion. Minus the kidnapping. We met on Mastodon, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't really quite like that, no.
Think I got all the questions covered? But the big thing I want you guys to take away from this is please make things. Please, 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 please. I am on my knees fucking begging you. Make things. Love the things that other people make and tell them that you love them. Don't be afraid. You are amazing. I am grabbing your snoots and I am looking you in the eyes and I'm whispering, you're amazing. You can do this. I believe in you. Also, if you do make something, I totally want to hear about it. Like, that would be really cool, actually. Please tell me. Not to be, a loser, but yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for Paige wants people to write essays and make personal websites, part 47. And just wait for next other con where there will be a part 48. It never ends. I'm going to have so much fun reading through the panel 3 chat to see everything that everyone said, because I have no idea what all y'all were saying during my panel. Fuck yeah! Nice things, mostly. What, were some of y'all insulting me for being short? Look out, I'll find you. I was making puns. Puns are acceptable, but you're on thin ice. We stand a short temperer. Oh, that's so funny! I'm gonna steal that! Alright, Orion, you have any finishing comments, my love?
I don't think so. I think we're all set.
Alright.
So everybody, make things. Actually make them. Don't just feel inspired. Pick up some projects that you've had sitting on the back burner and pick them up and, do them. Make them.
Exactly! Take this inspiration and use us! Use it! Oh, give us the onion. I'll post pictures of onion, as soon as I'll post pictures of onion in, somewhere, maybe. Alright, it's 8 p.m. I am closing this down. I will see you guys later!